All right, good morning, Deb. Welcome you to today's Explore Simpson series. My name is Jeremy Johnson, and I'm one of the Assistant Directors of Admissions here at Simpson. And before we get started, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Zoom or how many of you have been on Zoom, but you'll notice that as you go down to the bottom of the screen, you'll see there's a chat function, and we'd love for everyone to introduce themselves in chat. Maybe tell us where your hometown is, what year of school you are, what you're interested in majoring in, or maybe even what you're interested in doing at Simpson. And this way we can get to know everyone a little bit better. I'm going to start off here. Just explain a little bit about our Explore Simpson series. This is a series of virtual visits that we want to do for students kind of during this pandemic that we're going through, as opposed to being able to get on campus to do individual visits. This is really an opportunity to give everyone a chance to learn more about Simpson and just some different opportunities that are here at Simpson. Today we're going to be talking about undergraduate research, and I'm going to have Dr. Katie Smith introduce herself. She will be talking about, she's the chair of our undergraduate research, so she'll be talking a little bit about that program. Katie?
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And like Jeremy said, my name is Dr. Katie Smith. I'm one of the assistant professors here at Simpson in our sports science and health education program. So in my department, we have a few different majors. One is health and exercise science, and that's the program that I'm most closely connected with. But we also have physical education and sport administration. So in my role of research, a lot of the students that I work with are from across campus, but I manage that particularly for my department. And I would say about half of the students in my program go on into a pre-professional program for something like physical therapy, occupational therapy, pre-medicine, nursing, dietetics, athletic training, PA, etc. So a lot of those students are interested in research, and that's oftentimes my interaction with them.
Thank you, Katie. And again, my name's Jeremy Johnson in the admissions office, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about Simpson before we get into the undergraduate research. I also wanted to let you know that I have Emily, one of our other admissions counselors, here on today, and she'll be kind of monitoring the chat. So as you have questions, we definitely want to get those answered at the end of the presentation, but feel free to ask questions as we go along, and Emily will kind of be compiling those so we can get all of those answered. And that kind of to start with, I just want to talk a little bit about our agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit about general admissions information today. I know we have students in several aspects of their college decision right now. We have seniors, we have a few juniors. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Simpson, then I'll have Katie talk about undergraduate research. And then at the end, we'll kind of go into our live Q&A. So like I said, as you have questions, feel free to put those in the chat box so we can get those answered. A little bit about Simpson College, and I'm sure a lot of you know this, some of these facts, but just to go over a little bit about what we're about here at Simpson. As you may know, we're located in Indianola, Iowa. We're just 12 miles south of Des Moines, Iowa. So we're in an excellent location, four-year private school, liberal arts college. We have over 80 majors and minors at the college. One thing I always mention to students is the great thing coming to Simpson is you don't have to know what you want to major in. In fact, a lot of students coming in are still undecided. And that's something that we really pride ourselves on at Simpson, is really helping students figure out what direction they want to take, whether they want to double major, get a major and a minor. We have a lot of opportunities for students to go different directions. We have over 1,200 full-time undergraduate students at Simpson. So we have small class sizes. As you can see, our 12-to-1 student to faculty ratio. It's something that I really enjoyed as a graduate of Simpson. I enjoyed being able to walk into a classroom of 15, 20 students at the in the classroom and knowing my professor on a first name basis. Something you'll find here at Simpson is our professors really get to know their students. When you walk into the classroom, they know who you are. You can go knock on their door and they're available for you. You don't get that at every college, and that was an experience I was looking for. 99% of our graduates here at Simpson are employed or go on to graduate school 6 months after, before 6 months after graduation. So we take pride in helping our students find jobs, take pride in getting them into the grad schools of their choice. You'll find that our career counseling services every year They try to bring anywhere from 300 to 400 employers on campus throughout the year to help interview students for jobs, internships, help students with their resumes. They'll bring graduate schools on campus to do mock interviews of students so you kind of know what to expect. We do have an excellent internship program here at Simpson. I think our location definitely serves our students well. When the fact that you can drive 20 minutes and be downtown Des Moines, you don't get that at too many schools. And we pride ourselves on almost 80% of our students have at least one internship experience while at Simpson. You'll find a lot of our students will do more than that. I did 2 or 3 when I was at Simpson, and just to have that hands-on experience is something I think is useful for students, whether you're looking for what direction you want to go in majoring wise, what career you want to take, but it definitely gives you that experience. And another aspect here at Simpson is we understand that financial aid is a concern for all families. And we really commit to hoping we can be an affordable option for students. So you'll find 100% of our full-time students receive some sort of financial aid through grants, scholarships, merit, need-based money. We really want to try to make that effort in making it financially an option for students. So at the end of the day, when you go to start selecting colleges, you can make a decision on a college based on what you enjoy most about the campus, professors, different aspects on that, and you don't have to make a decision based on money. Just a couple things on what you should do next. Several of you have already applied to Simpson. If you haven't filed your FAFSA yet, that's the free application for federal student aid. You'll want to file that and have it sent to Simpson College. Once we receive those FAFSA results, we're able to put together a financial aid package for you once you've been accepted. The next step would be setting up a meeting with your admissions counselors. As admissions counselors, we want to try to have a very personal relationship with all of our students. We want to be able to answer their questions. We want to be able to get in touch with them when they have questions about financial aid, questions about anything at Simpson. But we definitely, when you get that financial aid package, we want to go over that financial aid award with you to see what questions you have. Then down the road, you've received that financial aid award. Let's say you've decided, yep, I'm ready to commit to Simpson. That's where I want to go to school. The next step would be to pay that $200 enrollment deposit. Some of you may have already done that. Once you pay that enrollment deposit, it's going to open up a couple different options for you. One, you'll be able to access your online student portal page. At Simpson, we call that your SC Connect page. Through this SC Connect portal page, you'll be able to sign up for one of our SOAR dates, which is our Simpson Orientation and Registration. We have 4 different dates in June, and that's where you'll come. You'll sign up for classes. You'll meet your academic advisor. Kind of a whole day of just learning more about Simpson in general. The other great thing about paying your deposit and getting started is you'll be able to fill out your campus housing application, and that'll be available to you. So that's kind of some of the next steps. Many of you may not even be in that process. Maybe you haven't applied to Simpson yet. Just so you know, it's free to apply at Simpson. We have no application fee. Once you apply, you're going to want to have your high school transcripts and test scores sent to us. For those of you that are juniors, you're getting a good quick look at Simpson today, but I encourage you as you go into the fall on that to start applying usually the fall of your senior year. That's a good time to start getting your applications to those different schools that you're looking at. Here's a little schedule of some of our upcoming virtual events, visits through our Explore Simpson series. For example, this week on Thursday, we have a visit talking more about our internships and career development at 11 a.m. And then you'll see next week, we talk more about residence life and housing, campus life, some different opportunities. So I encourage all of you, jump on to another virtual visit if you have an opportunity here in the next couple weeks, just to learn more things about Simpson and that. And lastly, before we get into undergraduate research, I encourage all of you to follow us on social media, whether it's through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, using the hashtag #OneSimpson. That's a great way to stay the most up to date to everything that's happening at Simpson. So I encourage you all to follow that. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Katie so she can talk more about undergraduate research.
Thanks, Jeremy. Well, I'm excited to be able to share with you guys all that we have to offer here at Simpson regarding undergraduate research. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Some of you might be wondering, what does research look like? And so honestly, one of the cool things about research at Simpson is that there is no one set answer. to that question at all. So really depending upon what your interests are, what programs you're in, research can look a variety of different ways. And so typically when you hear the word research, what a lot of people think of is that scientific research. And so that formulating the research question, formulating a hypothesis, collecting data to be able to answer that question, and then presenting that data in some way, shape, or form. However, that's not necessarily the case all the time. So there can be, diving into archives of a lot of different research. And so we have a wonderful library here and an archivist on staff as well, who can help with that if historical research is something that you're interested in. And historical research could be a variety of different fields because every field has a history to it. It could be research that's exploring a social or a political concern. And so we have a student this semester who was studying abroad in Spain. She's returned home now, thankfully, safe and sound, but she was over there and she actually was doing a research project while she was there about some political science questions that she had. And so she was using her opportunity to be in a foreign country and kind of interview some of their perceptions on politics. That data collection analysis process is something that's incredibly valuable. So it's actually closely embedded into our general education curriculum here at Simpson. So what we mean by that is that if you've already heard of our general education program, some of you may have, we have a skill that's required component of the curriculum that's called quantitative reasoning. And what that means is being able to make sense of numbers and to interpret what that data means. And so our curriculum currently is based off of what skills employers really think is valuable for their future employees to have. And so that's where research really becomes an important piece of that puzzle, is that you're allowed to collect that data and then really start to make sense and ask questions of, well, what do these numbers really mean? And that's important to a future employer because that data could be showing your worth. So showing the progress that you have made or your company has made with maybe a new program that you've implemented. And then finally, we have creation of artistic work as well. And so in the arts, our performing arts and our visual arts, that research project, we have a student right now who actually is doing a separate project. She was the lead in one of the theater productions in the fall. And so she is tying that in. The play was an eco arts production. And so she's kind of doing some research behind the scenes now that's a combination of some archival research, but also looking at current environmental issues. And she's relating that to the context of the play. So that's a really cool project that she's been working on. So where then on campus are you able to participate? Well, we have a variety of different types. Some students are working with a faculty member's research agenda. And so as faculty here at Simpson, our first agenda and our first item of task is to be excellent teachers in the classroom. So we are a teaching institution, and that by far and large is where our passion is at. But that doesn't mean that we're not doing research, even though it's not necessarily as large of our job description as what some other institutions are. However, having taught at those large research institutions before myself and going to graduate school at them, there's a reason that I'm here at Simpson. And that's a separate conversation that I'm happy to have with you at any other time. But what I love about my job here is that I can have research be as much of my job as I want to be, or as little if there are other areas that my students need attention with at the time. So a great example of that is that my area of expertise is in maternal health, and so particularly dietary patterns and exercise during pregnancy to improve maternal and fetal outcomes. And so when time allows, or when there are projects and questions to ask, then I work on that aside from teaching. But last semester I had a unique opportunity where one of our students, our seniors, was preparing for her senior capstone, and she's preparing to be a midwife. And so because our interests of maternal health overlapped, she conducted a survey, and we partnered with the Preeclampsia Foundation. She collected over 1,200 responses in just 3 weeks, and then she submitted that to an international conference of maternal health, and we actually went to Europe and presented that in Portugal in November. So that was kind of a unique opportunity, but other students will do the same in terms of helping a faculty member's research projects that they have actively going at that time. Some students come up with their own questions and they say, hey, we were talking about this in Biology 111, and it really made me wonder, here's the question. And so then we start looking at opportunities that they could dive into that and answer that question on their own. Some class projects are research projects in a group. And so I have one of those classes in my research methods class. Students work together in a small group to be able to develop a research project to be introduced to that research process. But then they have that option to go on and do independent research as a capstone later on. Again, all of this is being done with faculty guiding you and mentoring you throughout the process in some way, shape, or form. And then the great thing about Simpson is that we have multiple different ways that you can communicate your results. And so one of the ways that we really enjoy the best is our undergraduate research symposium. And that's what you see in that picture there, is that the Thursday before finals week in a traditional semester, all of us would gather in a variety of different places on campus to listen to both oral and poster presentations that students have done throughout the semester. And I'll come back and talk more about that later on. So some of you might be wondering, well, why should I become involved in research? And I think, you know, the first thing to think about is that I commend all of you for just being on this call right now, because you are far ahead of what a lot of individuals are, even some current students that I'm still trying to get them to understand where research really plays an important piece of their future. And so, you know, a great example that I tell my students working in healthcare right now, or preparing to be future healthcare professionals, is that, like it or not, research and policy are the drivers of their future careers. So in order to improve patient care and patient interactions and patient outcomes, a lot of that comes back to medical reimbursement. And so in order to see a change in medical reimbursement, we need to be able to make changes with policy. And in order to do that, we have to have research and scientific data that shows that this is the intended outcome if we make this change. So, you know, there's a lot of analytical skills are involved in the process, critical thinking, a lot of problem solving, being able to manage your time, because it's definitely a rush, wait game in research. One of the best things that someone ever told me with research is that it wouldn't be called research if you didn't get to do parts of it over and over and over again. So a lot of patience along with it as well, but it's probably one of the most rewarding things that I have been able to be involved in my career. So you really are able to become an expert in a small area or a large area, depending upon your topic. But as you particularly get into being able to present a project, and whether that's a project you're presenting to your class, or you're presenting it on campus here at our research symposium, or you're taking it to a regional, a state, a national, or an international conference, no one really knows that project better than you do, okay? So you are the expert in that situation, which is a pretty cool feeling to be able to communicate that and share those results with others. One of the things that I work hard to do in my intro level class is exposing my students to the fact that research is a career for some individuals, and it can be a career, and it's not something that we usually think of. Oftentimes, if we are thinking about research, we think about it as something else that can be included on our resume, which is incredibly valuable, but it also can be a job. And so we try as much as possible to be able to bring individuals that are working in a variety of different fields in the areas of research to campus, or have them Zoom with students, et cetera, to be able to kind of share with them where there are opportunities within research. We also have a new major and minor here on campus that's called data analytics. And a lot of students are starting to couple that with their majors to be able to have that kind of extra skill set to be able to take into their future career. So one of our students is combining health and exercise science with physics and math and data analytics, because he wants to work in physical activity management and physical activity assessment. So he wants to work with physical activity accelerometers, so your Fitbits, your Apple Watches, and improving the data that those devices are collecting. And so all of that will be part of the research process as well. Research really opens up a lot of different networks in terms of professional interaction and professional networking as well. So I have had the opportunity and the privilege to meet so many different people through research. And a lot of the fields, particularly my field is a great example with health and exercise science, our field is really young. And so the authors of our textbook, the authors that are doing some of this classic research, are actually still presenting at conferences. So when we take our students to conferences, our students are actually having the opportunity to meet the author of their textbook. And that just really develops an incredible network for them when it comes time to looking for internships, looking for jobs in the future, or recommendations for graduate school or for jobs. As you've heard me say, communicating your results is a big piece of the research process. And so you really are able to improve and master those skills, including public speaking, but also writing, because another piece of the research puzzle is grant writing. And so there are opportunities to be able to improve the written communication as well. We can advance to the next slide here. So I've alluded a little bit to the fact that research can happen within a class, but it can also happen outside of a class. And so one of the ways that it might happen in a class is that capstone course. So every major is going to have a capstone where students are going to complete that capstone in their senior year. And that capstone looks differently for every major. So some majors, research is an option as their capstone. But it could also research be completed within that general education curriculum. So as I mentioned, my research methods course, psychology has a research methods course. There's quite a few different departments that have a research methods course. And they're going to be able to embed that within your major as well. So there's lots of different opportunities for that research to be scaffolded. You could start, I have my intro students in a 100 level course, just filling out an IRB application for their final project this semester about an area of healthcare that they would like to change and data that they would like to collect in order to make that change. They won't actually conduct the study, but it just kind of gradually introduces the process to them. And then in advanced courses, they will actually recruit participants. If it's a human subject study, they will collect that data, they will analyze it and present it, etc. So let's talk a little bit more then about the specific on-campus opportunities that we have for research. We have a variety of different opportunities. And so some of them, I will say, I'll back up for a second. Some of them happen during the summer and some of them happen regularly throughout the school year. But a lot of our faculty do a bulk of their research during the summer, since we are really focused on teaching and advising during the school year. And so a great example of that is the Bryan Summer Research Program. So for students that are mathematics majors, they have the opportunity to be able to receive funding to stay on campus in the summer to work with a faculty member on a research project. And so last summer, there were 2 or 3 different groups of students that worked with a different faculty member. One of them worked on a Down syndrome project, and so they collected data on where Down syndrome specialty clinics are all across the country. And then they interviewed parents of children with Down syndrome or caretakers of patients with Down syndrome if they're dependent adults as well. And then they collaborated with one of the specialty clinics out in Boston and have been able to communicate that and get that work published across campus. So our students are regularly presenting, but they're also regularly publishing as well, which is really unique for a school that's Simpson size. I can share as an alum of Simpson myself, as well as what Jeremy said, that this research program has really, really grown since I was here. Now, granted, that was several years ago, but when I was a student, I remember research really being housed within the natural sciences. So if you were a biology or a chemistry or a physics student, you were the ones that were doing research. And now that is absolutely not the case here. It is just all across campus that you will see students that are involved in research. We have other opportunities off campus that we regularly are helping our students to be able to find as well. And so a lot of programs across the country have what is called a research experience for an undergraduate, or an REU. And these are intensive research programs that are held for 8 to 10 weeks over the summer at a variety of different large colleges, universities, teaching hospitals, labs, research institutes, etc. And so students apply for these programs. Our students applied, most of them applications were due in February. And so they're starting to hear back now on those summer programs that they have applied for. And some of the programs will include a living stipend or a housing stipend, not all of them, but some of them do. And so those, of course, are obviously much more competitive as well. Let's see, if you want to back up just for 1 second there. So last summer, you see on the right-hand side a list of a variety of different places where our students conducted research. And so some were right here on campus doing like the summer research program, maybe the Bryan program for mathematics, or there is a summer ecological program on campus as well. Some were right up the road from Indianola at Des Moines University. And then we had students that were spread all across the country as well. Scholarship. So you might be wondering, well, how in the world are students going as far away as Portugal to be able to present their work? And so that comes back to, as I mentioned, that grant writing process. And so as faculty, we are able to apply for grant funding, or the students and the faculty can apply together to different grant opportunities. But we have special funds set available for students only within here at Simpson, for students to be able to go and present their work at conferences, so that we do have that financial support for students. It's not always 100% of the cost, but it's certainly every little bit helps. Okay, and so earlier I alluded to the fact that we have this on-campus research symposium. So our campus-wide event happens in April, and so that's for all of the work that has been done throughout the course of the year, so fall and spring semesters. We also offer a similar symposium in the fall for anyone that went off campus or conducted work on campus during the summer. So then they can present that usually in October or November on campus as well. But classes are canceled for our spring event. We spend really all morning and most of the early afternoon listening to a variety of different oral presentations. We really formalize it like a research conference would be if you've attended a research conference, perhaps with any clubs that you're involved in right now. You get a name tag if you're presenting, you come and check in that morning, and then you have a variety of different sessions at any given time. There could be up to 12 different presentations that are going on campus at once. And so you can go back and forth between them. You can, move different classrooms. At 1 o'clock, you might be in the Carver Science Building listening to a research project. And then at 2 o'clock, you might be across campus in the Arts Building listening to a different presentation. So campus is really buzzing. It's probably one of the things that I'm most bummed about with this year and the time that we're in, not being able to have that event because students work incredibly hard. But we also have a research and undergraduate research Facebook page and a presence on Instagram as well. And so if you look for that, we're going to be showcasing some of the work that our students have actually submitted. So they submitted an abstract to be able to present at this symposium that was scheduled for the end of April. And we're going to be publishing those on our website. So that way, if you want to take a look at a variety of the work that our students are doing, we can show you that. And then actually tomorrow and next week, we're going to highlight 2 particular students that have been accepted to present their work at very prestigious conferences. So one was at Johns Hopkins Medical Research Institute, and another one was at a research institution called Posters on the Hill. And that conference is sponsored by the Undergraduate Council of Research. And so it was an opportunity for that student to go and share her research project with members of Congress out in Washington, D.C. So we're giving a special shout out to those 2 students on our social media. So stay tuned for that. So there is a direct link to our undergraduate website on Simpson's webpage. And so you can get another advanced look beyond. I showed you briefly where students went last summer, but you can look for several past years of where students have gone to do research opportunities. You might be wondering, well, once I get to Simpson, how do I really get started? And so we are regularly sending out information to students about informational sessions that we are holding on campus. You can always ask an instructor, an advisor, a faculty member, a staff member, and they are happy to help you get connected with someone in your area of interest as well. So one of the main sessions that we hold is usually in early December about those summer research opportunities. And actually that presentation is usually done by students that are juniors or seniors that have done research opportunities the last 1 or 2 summers. And they come in and they share their experiences with where do you even find these summer research opportunities? What are the tips for the application process? Because a lot of times students will use their time over winter breaks to be filling out those applications. We have supplemental sessions that are sponsored by our Academic Success Center on campus here, which includes a writing center to help you write abstracts, to write personal statements. We have an incredible career development office as well who helps with preparing your resume, writing cover letters, really finding those opportunities and getting hooked up with things like LinkedIn and having an online presence as well. So there are a lot of opportunities for you to be able to be as successful as you wish to be, which we hope for you. So at this point, that concludes all of the formal information that I had to share with you. So I would be welcome to hear either questions about research here at Simpson or yeah, whether it's the program at large or whatever it might be. If you've done research and you want to share a little bit of your experience with research, I'd be happy to hear that too. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Katie. Feel free if you want to unmute yourself if you have any questions, or even type them in the chat box. I'm not sure, do we have any questions right now, Emily?
We had one question just in reference to SOAR, and I'll just go ahead and address it for everyone. So if by chance, you cannot come to one of our 4 SOAR dates in June, as you know, the April date was moved essentially to June 16th. If for any reason you can't make one of those dates, you'll need to essentially sign up for session 5. That's essentially a virtual option that we are offering to students, and someone from student development will reach out. But even if that doesn't work, you can always reach out to your admissions counselor based on your region, and then we can go ahead and assist you from there. But if anyone has any questions either about the admissions process or about UG research, you can go ahead and do so at this time by either unmuting yourself or asking in the chat.
I got a question.
Great.
Yeah.
So do you have to be a math major to do the Bryan Summer Research Program for mathematics?
Great question. It all depends on the number of applicants each semester. So that funding, particularly historically, has been tied to math majors.
Okay.
However, it doesn't mean that we have students or that we don't have students from other programs participating in that. So another example would be one of our students who is a sports administration major. He was a double major at the time when he did it. He was sports administration and math, thinking about doing a career in data analytics and sport. And so he participated in that program as well. So like I said, he was math at the time, but if they don't have enough applicants from the math major, then I know that more than anything, they want to be able to provide that funding and that research opportunity to students. So it's not out of the question by any means. And then if it's not the Bryan Summer Research Program, say that one was full with mathematics majors, there are a variety of other different opportunities. So we have some students this summer that are participating in the summer ecological program as well.
I'm just a huge math nerd, and if I got the chance to do math in the summer, I'd probably keel over.
So yeah, you should have no problem then being able to jump on that opportunity. Our math faculty will be ecstatic to hear that.
I'm a business major because, I gotta make the money too, but I feel like math is a good way to get quantitative experience, and having that could provide a advantage later on. So
absolutely, and that's why we feel so strongly about it, that we have it embedded into our general curriculum as a quantitative reasoning, for sure. Yeah, thanks for that comment, Matt.
No problem. Thank you.
All right,
Other
we also
questions?
have
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we have a question from Chase, and this was in the chat. The question is, if I double majored in biology and chemistry and did one research project, could I use that for both my capstones, or would I have to do 2 different research projects?
Excellent question, Chase. So let me back up a second about the capstone. The capstone looks differently for every major. So while students in my major have the opportunity to do research as a capstone, that isn't necessarily the case for every major. So, and I don't remember off the top of my head about biology and chemistry, but I believe that most of those have a seminar capstone course. So you can choose like a biochemistry seminar or a human physiology seminar or a neuroscience seminar, where it's more of like a graduate level discussion where you take the opportunity to read a lot of current research and present on those research articles. So it's more of a passive part of the research process, I guess, for those capstones, at least what I know about them. Again, I don't work with them directly every day. But a lot of our students that major in biology and chemistry are doing research projects either with our faculty or they are going to other institutions and doing those REUs. So if, say, there is the opportunity to do research as a capstone and you are a double major, our intent is that your project can hopefully be an interdisciplinary bridge between whatever it is that you've learned between all of your areas of study. Does that answer your question, Chase? If not, you can send a follow-up one too.
And that's something, as you have other questions or when other questions come up, feel free at any time. You can jump on our website and email Katie, and she'll be able to answer a lot of those questions.
Absolutely.
Any other questions anyone has?
Just real quick, Chase says, sounds good, thanks.
Great, thanks.
Excellent. Well, just to echo, a lot of what Katie said, I will say that research is a huge component at Simpson College. Really believing in that hands-on experience is something we try to do. Or even reach out to Katie individually. One last thing I would just like to mention as we go into this last part is you check out our social media, whether it's through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the hashtag #OneSimpson. We'd love to have you connect with us, and that's a great way to find out more about Simpson. I encourage all of you, hopefully you'll jump on here in the next couple weeks and check out one of our other Explore Simpson series. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Smith, and have a great day.
I'll add one last thing, Jeremy. Sorry. Your follow-up session for research, I believe it's Thursday night at 7 is when you're doing another one of these virtuals on research. And that will be Dr. Clint Meyer, who is from the biology department. So Chase, that could be another great resource for you as well, who would be, and he is one of our environmental scientists too. And so he's heavily involved in those research projects in that department, but that could give you another viewpoint from him. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.